Well, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Happy Friday, if it's Friday with you. If you haven't been here before, massive welcome. My name is Jane and I have a business called Snapdragon Life. I'm an artist living in Scotland and I run an online membership club called the Studio Club, which is all about bringing nature and creativity into your life. All of the details are in the description underneath this. Now, last week I did a tour of my house, and in the comments I was asked whether I would do a video about my morning routine. Now, I must say that my first reaction was laughter, really. I am so much not a morning person, and I associate these videos about morning routines as being really high energy and about getting up 2 hours early and doing lots of exercise and meditating and having your cold shower and your bulletproof coffee. All of these life hacks that are meant to make you live longer and be more productive and all of these kinds of things. And that is so far removed from my life. That to start with, I thought I might not be able to do this kind of video. But then I had another think, because the reason that I started making these videos on YouTube was that there are so few middle-aged women on YouTube. And I thought we need to be represented more. So I started recording the YouTube things. And since then, I felt that it's really important to talk about chronic illness, because a lot of chronic illness things that you get on YouTube are quite clickbaity and dramatic and alarmist and depressing. And I don't think that that is the whole picture. So I want to kind of like show that, and I also like to show that there is a different way of making a living doing within your own business that isn't all hustly and striving and overworking. So really, this talking about mornings could be an expansion of that. And then I noticed that the person who had left the comment actually also has a chronic illness. And I thought, well, then maybe it is a really interesting discussion to have. So mornings. The chronic illness that I have is called Addisons disease. And I've talked about this in other videos, but in summary, it basically means that my adrenal glands and my pituitary glands don't work at all. So I do not produce steroids naturally. And that's fine, because I take artificial steroids in the morning, and that gives me about 12 hours of vaguely normal, maybe not high energy, but vaguely normal day. But it means that I don't have the natural wake-up cycle that somebody who has adrenal glands would have. So normally, maybe about 3-4 a.m., your adrenal glands start to produce steroids which gradually wake you up, and it's called the dawn reflex or something like that. And that doesn't happen with me. So when I wake up in the morning, I feel like normal people who have normal adrenals would feel if they were suddenly woken up at 2 a.m. That kind of sickness and dizziness and brain fog, dry mouth, that, you know, just, and also a slight panic because there is the waking up rather than the gradually coming to. And that's fine, you know. I take my tablet and I'm on a slow acting tablet, so it takes about 40 minutes for me to wake up. But clearly, you know, I'm not going to be going out and running and meditating or anything. It takes me all my effort to sit up or go to the loo. So I have, just by physical necessity, a really, really slow way of getting up. My husband gets up much earlier. He goes out for his work about 7:30. So he would have got up at 6:15. And I sleep through. And then I take my tablet, and usually just before he goes to work, he will bring me a cup of tea. By this time, all the animals are on the bed, and I sit up and I have my cup of tea and I watch the birds. He'll fill up the bird feeder and bird table, and all of the wee birds come and I watch them. And I know that this sounds very peculiar, but that is my morning routine. I have a cup of tea and I watch the birds until I come to. And then I do something in what I think of as my meditation spot. Now, I know that lots of people go and they light candles and they do crystal grids and they have a special room and they have an altar and all of these kinds of things for meditation, and particularly for Reiki, which is what I'm doing at the moment. I do not do those things. If I had to do those things, I would not be doing it at all. So I have taken it down to as basic as possible. Now, I talked about Reiki in a previous video and going for this workshop 1 and how wonderful I found it. The thing that I have brought home with me is there are kind of 5 statements. They've probably got a special name in Reiki, and they're about not feeling anger or worry and, you know, working hard and all of these kinds of things. And I have added on an extra 2 for the rest of the chakras. One is about nurturing my physical body, which is something that I am attempting to do in a more active way. And the final one is about feeling joy. So I'll put my teacup down, I'll scoot horizontal back in the bed, I'll make the animals budge over, and I will do this Reiki practice, which takes about 10 minutes. And then on the end of that, I kind of use a bit of a guided meditation that I guide myself, and it's a mix. If you're interested in these things, it's a mix between the House with the Red Room, which is a mind store thing from back in the early 90s, and the idea of the future self, which is something that I got from Tara Moore, and I think that she got it from somewhere else. So these are guided meditations that have been done by so many people that you get ideas as to how to really make them your own. So I have 5 minutes with my future self in this house that she lives in, just chatting about things, anything that I was worried about, anything that I'm looking forward to, any advice that I need. And then that's it. 15 minutes horizontal. I sit back up, I pour myself another cup of tea, I scroll on Instagram a bit, and then as soon as I feel just that my brain is beginning to get back, you know, that clicking kind of out of fog thing. Then I get up and I get ready. So the only other thing that I would say that has become increasingly important or increasingly regular, I think, over the past year is that I now put on makeup every morning. Now, the reason or the thing for this is last year I kind of was accidentally got a new diagnosis of something that was wrong with me. Now, when I say accidentally, I'd gone in for something else and it was discovered. So something that has probably been there for a long time, but came to light. And this is one of the reasons I am terrified of going to doctors and hospitals, because you always seem to come back with something extra wrong. And while realistically makes no difference to my life, Googling it, I just came up with all of these artist's impression drawings, which were awful. Now, I had never, ever thought of myself as vain, certainly not physically vain, but all of these drawings showed, hunchback women who had lost their hair and had no necks, and I can't even describe it. No, I'd never seen anybody who looked like these drawings. I don't know where they had got the drawings for the NHS website, because it was just awful. So I contacted my friend Viv, who is one of the most empathetic people, but also incredibly glamorous people. And I thought, I'll be able to just moan on to her. So I did, and I moaned on, and she just laughed. She thought it was just ridiculous that there was nobody living who looked as bad as these drawings. And it really bucked me up. But when I came off the phone from her, I thought, I need to buy myself a red lipstick. And it was such a weird, specific thing. And it was also, I need to buy myself an expensive red lipstick. So I went out and I spent £36 on a red lipstick, which is very, very expensive for a lipstick and very expensive for me. And I went from really not wearing makeup unless I went out to always having this lipstick on, whether I see anybody or not. So it's just for me. And I don't know what it is, but it brightens me up. There is something to do with that morning putting on of the lipstick, putting on the lip coat so it will last more than an hour, smiling at myself in the mirror. That is the end of my morning routine, and that just carries me forward in a very peculiar way. I don't know what it is about the power of red lipstick, because you do hear this over and over again, and seemingly it's the one thing where sales go up in a financial depression, that women will buy themselves a red lipstick to counteract the gloom, maybe. So anyway, that is my morning routine. And as you can see, it is very, very different from the productivity-based morning routines that you see, which actually I always look at them and I think that is 4 hours long. That's not a morning routine, that is like a day. But what I would say is that my morning routine, which is really minimal, incredibly slow, helps me through the day. one thing that I have found talking to a lot of people who have chronic illness, which you tend to have some good days and some bad days. And often you know when you're going to have a bad day really early on in the morning. And there is a temptation, particularly when you're in this low, sick, kind of trying to get yourself together feeling, to decide in your head that this is it. This is going to be your life from now on. You're always going to feel like that. Now, I don't think it is. But what I find is having this routine, these things that I do, you know, I have my cup of tea, I watch the birds, I do my meditation, I have another cup of tea, I scroll mindlessly on Instagram, and then I get ready. Having that routine allows me to get through the mornings. And by the time I've finished my cup of tea, I'm usually feeling a lot better. Which is another good psychological point. Anyway, I feel that I have been waffling on about nothing for 15 minutes. But I would love to know what your morning routine is and whether it is something that helps you through the day. And now I will go off and actually do some work. These flowers, aren't they gorgeous? They are just so beautiful. And these are the dahlias that I grew from seed from the Floret original seeds that Erin at Floret Flowers sent me. And these have done so much better here in Scotland than the ones that I am growing from tubers, which haven't even started flowering yet. These ones are full of blooms and such a lovely mix. So anyway, that is me. Have a lovely weekend and I shall see you next week. Bye bye.